Mm. Okay, so what is the point of meditation? Not philosophically, but practically. Why would we do this practice? What does it actually do? So, my name's Dan. I've spent over a decade now working with founders and leaders. And before that, I was trained in exercise physiology, sports science, and physiotherapy. Now, I tend to look at meditation and some of the inner work through both lenses, the science and the lived experience. And in this video, I want to give you a way of understanding meditation that's simple, grounded, and immediately usable. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll understand exactly why even a few minutes a day can completely change how you move through the pressures and intensities of your day to day or week to week. And so, as I was studying exercise and sports science and physiotherapy, there was a concept that came through there that's called your base of support. And essentially, what this means, it's completely in that context applied to your physical being, your body. Yeah. And so it was about balance. Yeah. What does it take to throw your body off balance? And you can give this a go once I've explained it. So, if you're standing and your base of support, which is made up of the very outside of your feet, so if these are your feet, then it's the outside of your feet and the space in between. That makes up your base of support. So if you've got your feet super close and you're standing up, then your base of support is about 15 centimeters wide. Yeah. If you widen your base of support and you start to sit a little more like a sumo, right? So you're standing there, feet nice and wide apart. Then from the outside of your left foot, outside of your right foot, that's now your base of support. Now, why is this important? There's another element that comes into play when it comes to you physically maintaining balance. You know, this is your center of gravity. And the center of gravity for a human being is your belly button. Yeah, there or thereabouts. Yeah, around the belly button. Now, it's super fun testing this out. What you want to do is stand up and place your feet together. Now, the very moment, and you can measure this to a T, that your belly button falls outside of your base of support, you will lose balance. The body will tilt and fall over. The very moment that you come outside of this imaginary line, which is the very outside of your base of support. Yeah. So what's really useful to do, and it explains as to why sumos really get down low to bring their center of gravity closer to the ground and also keeping those legs, the base of support, nice and wide. Yeah. The wider your base of support, the more difficult it is to throw you off center completely. Yeah. To throw you off balance completely. That center of gravity now needs to travel so much more versus a narrow center of gravity. And all it takes is this to throw you off center completely. And so as I started to delve into meditation and a whole bunch of the inner work, I started to realize, hang on a second, this gets directly applied to your emotional state, your mental state. Yeah, our capacity in life to not be thrown too far off center too easily. Yeah. So notice in that it's not necessarily about not being thrown off center. It's about not being thrown off center too easily and getting thrown too far off center where we're then losing balance in our day to day, emotionally, mentally, becoming incredibly reactive. And so meditation, and I like to actually simply call it sitting practice, because if you say and suggest to someone, hey, have you tried meditation? All of a sudden, there's these connotations that come with meditation because it's a highly loaded word. And they're wondering, do I need to sit like this with my fingers like this? And what do I need to do? How do I breathe? What do I focus on? So on and so on and so on. So if you consider sitting practice, eyes closed, where else in your day do you actually get even 60 seconds to close your eyes and just be with stillness and silence? Does that happen anywhere else? The answer for 9 out of 10 people is no. You know? And so sitting practice in and of itself, as a practice, whatever you can commit to, the best practice is the one that gets done. You want it to be regular and you want it to be consistent. Because when you sit in that stillness and silence, you're simply allowing for the noise that might be there and the activity and ruminations of the mind and the happenings of the last 24 hours or whatever it might be. You're allowing all of that stirred up sediment in the lake to start to settle just that little bit more. And every second that you spend in that state, allowing the sediment to settle, allowing the activity to just be there without further placing the hand into the lake and stirring it up anymore, it all accumulates. The meditation from yesterday accumulates and contributes to your base of support widening. Then you sit again the next day and your base of support widens again. Then you sit again the next day and your base of support widens again. And there's different activity from day to day, but the practice and commitment is simple. Sit in stillness and silence on a day to day for as much as you possibly can at this point in time. 2 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And starting to get good at simply being back here, present to all of the activity so that that sediment has an opportunity to settle. Yeah. Contributing to your base of support and widening that throughout the day just means that you do this for 2 weeks and then a month, and then you end up, you've been doing it for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It makes it that much more difficult for you to be thrown and have your center of gravity come and fall outside of your base of support. And so this is one of the main reasons I've committed to a meditation practice for the last 15 years. And it's a reason why even in a world where consuming and doing is such an attractive thing for the construct of mind, this is why breath work has become super, super popular, because it's an easier version than meditation, because we've gotten so horrible at being able to sit in stillness and silence. Now, part of this is not our fault or whatever else. However, it is our responsibility as to what we do about this. And so I think practices like breath work so powerful, and it's really useful to engage in these. And this is coming from a breathwork practitioner. And as human beings, it's incredibly important for us to be able to develop the capacity bit by bit, to be able to be once again in complete stillness and the silence of one's own being in the face of whatever noise there might be around you. And so if you consider this as a decent enough reason so that you're not being thrown in your day to day too far off center outside of your base of support to commit to a sit every single day, then I encourage you to take it up. If you've got any questions, be sure to reach out, just ask me those questions. I'll be responding to you personally. And see how you go. Commit to 7 days straight of sitting, and you can download the Insight Timer where you get to choose a bell at the beginning, a bell at the end, so you don't have to think about when you're going to be done. And at some point, you can let go of the bells altogether. Give that a go. Let me know how you go, and I'll see you in the next one together in deep work, rest, and play.